Processing the loss of a loved one who has taken their life is a very complex grief journey to take. And so let's walk together and I'll share with you my experience after losing my 15-year-old daughter Zoe to suicide and what you can do if you're in the same situation. Hey friend, welcome back to Grief Questions Answered. I'm Eric, and it's my goal with these videos to share everything that I've learned about how to survive, find support in the loneliness of grief, and how to intentionally get back up and live beyond the loss of a loved one. If this grief tip doesn't help you today, I am confident it can and will help you at some point in the future, so be sure to save this video to watch later on. Today's question comes from Julianne, who asked me, how am I supposed to survive the loss of my son to suicide? And Julianne, when you asked that question, when I read that question, I was taken aback because I get it. 10 years ago, my 15-year-old daughter Zoe took her life, and it was one of the hardest things that I had ever had to deal with in life up to that point. And it's still hard to deal with today, but initially, when I lost Zoe, I was struggling not only with the grief of losing her, but also this compound aspect of her taking her life. And I wanted to reconcile both of those as quickly as possible. But it doesn't work that way, unfortunately. And so I know initially my response to this was it affected me mentally, physically, and emotionally. I couldn't eat. I couldn't sleep. I had no desire to do anything. And I had phantom pains in my body that I couldn't explain where they came from. And it wasn't until Zoe's friends came to me and asked me, specifically one friend, Beth, who asked me, what are we supposed to do with this? That it kind of snapped me out of this downward trajectory that I was heading into this abyss of grief. And don't get me wrong, I still went down into that abyss of grief for a period of time because I was just struggling with the loss of Zoe and trying to understand and reconcile why she took her life. But when her friend Beth asked me, what are we supposed to do with this? I was afraid. I was concerned that she was going to take her life because she was around the same age, and I didn't want anybody else to hurt themselves. And so I looked at Beth in the eye and I said, look, nobody's going to hurt themselves, but here's what we're going to do. You and I are going to check in with each other every single day until we don't need to. And I could see that this landed with Beth and that it made her realize that she wasn't alone in this. And it turns out that it was enough for her to keep going. And it was also enough for me to keep going. And that's really the point here, is that in order to keep going, this is a daily journey. It is sometimes an hourly journey, and sometimes it's a minute-by-minute journey, where to keep going means just to keep breathing. Because when you lose a loved one, it's hard enough. And I'm not diminishing anybody's loss in any way, shape, or form. Grief comes with a bevy of emotions that are overwhelming at times. And it's a roller coaster. And when we have those emotions, it's really difficult to know what we should be doing in that moment, let alone what we need to be doing next. And you can feel unsettled, and you can have some of the same experiences that I did, where you can't eat or sleep and you don't feel like doing anything but staying in bed. But I invite you to look at this situation a little differently, in that there is going to be better days on your journey. If you are new to your loss and it's because of a suicide, and it may take a little bit longer to navigate this journey, but there are better days ahead. And so one of the things that my therapist shared with me was to make sure that I was doing something the same way over and over every single day until it became the normal thing for me to do. Because I asked her one day, I'm like, what am I supposed to do? Because this kind of reminded me about Beth in a way. But she said to me, Eric, when you get up in the morning, you're going to put your feet on the ground, you're going to get dressed, you're going to get breakfast, you're going to go to work, you're going to come home, you're going to exercise, you're going to go to bed, and you do the same thing over and over again. And so as much as we can to reestablish this routine of living actually helps us because it allows our brain to realize that with a routine, we can actually start to process our grief. We can start to process the questions that come along with not only the grief, but also a death by suicide. And when you're asking these questions, when you ask why, it's almost as if you're driving the Splinter a little bit further down, because you're never really going to know why. You're never really going to know why they took their life. You can put certain pieces of the puzzle together. I know I have, but in the end, what's more important here is to ask what? What am I going to do about this? And when Zoe's friend Beth asked me in my kitchen, what are we supposed to do with this? That was a what question. And I responded with that we're going to check in with each other. That was something that we could do in that moment. And so for you, as you're navigating this journey, if this is new for you, if your loss is, and I say new for you, and by the way, 1, 2, 3 years could still be considered fresh in terms of this loss. There's a lot to reconcile internally. It's really important that you reestablish a routine for your day. Unfortunately, no one's going to come and take this pain away. And we know from our experience of losing our loved one that maybe the pain wasn't resolved and then it was transferred to us because now we feel this pain. And we may even question our existence. I know I did. So for you, it's really important that you take time to look at where you are on this journey, not judge it, not expect you to wake up tomorrow morning and feel better, or even for that matter, not to expect that you're never going to feel better, because ultimately your grief does subside. You will have moments of clarity on this journey. I can guarantee you that. You'll have clarity of aspects of your guilt if you lost your loved one through suicide. That will get resolved. In fact, I remember one day I was driving home from work in my car, and I'd been thinking about Zoe the entire train ride home on the commuter rail. And when I got in my car, I just started crying, and I was just screaming at myself in the car. I should have been a better dad for you. You should be here right now. Why didn't I save you? And it was as if Zoe was sitting in the car seat next to me. I heard her say, "Dad, cut it out. I'm okay." And when I pulled into my driveway, I sat there for about half an hour and I thought about it, and she's right. She is okay now. I can't change what happened, but I can change what happens next. And so I committed myself to just taking care of what I could every single day in that moment by staying present, because that's the only thing that we have access to. We can't turn the clock back and fix the situation. We can't bring them back, unfortunately, but we can take steps to accept where we are in the present moment and then create our future, which isn't here yet. So I know losing a loved one is so very hard, Julianne, especially when it's a child. Doesn't matter. Losing a loved one is difficult no matter what. But when you lose a loved one to suicide, it can really impact your daily life. It can make you question your own existence on this planet. Please know that there are options, okay? When somebody is struggling with the loss of a loved one, it's pain. And when somebody is contemplating their existence on this planet, it's also pain. And when somebody takes their life, it's not so much that they want to end their life, they just want to end the pain. And you may be in that same place right now. So first and foremost, it is not an option for you to end your life. I know you're missing your loved one. I was in that place. I get it. I question my existence as well. But I was able to find some resources. And so that was key. Support resources, a counselor, a group, online groups. There's so many options there for you. And ultimately, this pain will get resolved. And so it's really important for you to take those steps to take care of yourself right now, because it's okay to do that. You actually honor your loved one by carrying on every single day, as hard as it is. I wish I could take the pain away from you. I really do. And I'm so sorry that if you're struggling with this, not only your loss in general, but if it's a loss by suicide, I get it. And I'm so sorry. It's not fair. Your loved one should be here, but I can promise you that there are better days ahead because you're not alone. And if you need help in terms of navigating this journey, reach out. We can have a conversation. Maybe I can help you, or maybe I can guide you towards some resources that can help you. But as always, I hope this helps. If you have any questions about grief that I can answer for you, please comment below. And if you haven't done so yet, click that subscribe button, as that is one of the best ways to get notified of new videos just like this and to show support for the channel. So let's keep walking together, and I'll see you in next week's video.